The Israeli army failed to protect civilians during the October 7th Hamas attack, the military said in the findings of a first probe into its own security failings. The army acknowledged that had not protected the citizens of one of the worst hit communities, Kibbutz Be'eri. More than 100 people were killed in the attack on Be'eri and 32 taken hostage to Gaza, 11 of whom are still there. The Israeli military said it was unprepared for the massive infiltration by Hamas. Meanwhile, Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has said that the country's top leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, should be investigated for the October 7 failure.
It must investigate me, the Defense Minister. It must investigate the Prime Minister. It must investigate the military chief as well as the head of the security services. It must investigate the Israeli Defense Forces and the other subordinates who report to the government.
An Israeli negotiation team will head to Cairo to hold further talks aimed at securing a ceasefire in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel has said that it struck a military post in Syria in retaliation after a projectile was fired from Syria into the Golan Heights. Earlier, an Israeli soldier was killed in combat near the border with Lebanon. According to a report, Israeli and Egyptian ceasefire negotiators are in talks about an electronic surveillance system along the border between Gaza and Egypt that could allow Israel to pull back its troops from the area if a ceasefire is agreed upon. Both Hamas and Egypt are opposed to Israel keeping its forces there. Israel is worried that if its troops leave the border zone, Hamas could smuggle in weapons and supplies from Egypt into Gaza. U.S. President Joe Biden has said that the Israel-Gaza conflict must end now, telling reporters that his Gaza ceasefire framework had been agreed on by both Israel and Palestinian Islamist group Hamas, but added that there were still gaps to close.
The United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close, but we're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now.